something that you have in your prayer book, so you could just sit and listen. Yeah. Ashreha Gafror.
Ashrei hagafrur shenizraf vehitzit vehavot. Ashrei ha'le'ava shebara bisit kilivavot. Ashrei ha'levavot sheyadu lechadul bechavod. Ashrei hagafur shenizraf vehitzit vehavot. Ashrei ha'le'ava shebara b'sitri levavot. Ashrei hagafur shenizraf vehitzit vehavot. Blessed is the match consumed in a kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that softly burns in a heart's secret place. Blessed the hearts that like flickering lights new to flutter and die without shame. Blessed is the match consumed in a kindling flame.
Ayla Ezkara. These I remember. Marcy?
Ella Escara, these I remember. These I call to memory late in the long day. The voices of martyrs stilled by tyrants, the voices of my ancestors murdered by mobs. I remember the 10 martyrs, the 10 Torah scholars who were murdered by the Emperor of Rome. Shimon ben Gamliel was beheaded for daring to teach Torah. Ishmael, the high priest, was flayed alive. Akiva, whose flesh was torn with iron combs. Hanina ben Tradian was burned alive with his Torah scroll. Chutzpit, the interpreter, begged to say the Shema one more day. Eliezer ben Shamua was one of Akiva's most famous students. Hanina ben Chakmei was killed by poison. Yeshiva the scribe urged his students to love one another before he was murdered. Judah ben Dama is known only as one of the 10 martyrs. Judah ben Bava was stabbed to death for ordaining 5 new rabbis. Ella Ezgara, these I remember.
Ella Ezkara, these I remember. I remember the martyrs of medieval Europe. Convert or die, they were told, and many of them chose death rather than to deny their heritage. Rabbi Amnon of Mayence bled to death after torture, a prayer on his lips. The Jews of the Rhineland were murdered by crusader hordes. The Jews of Jerusalem were burned alive in their synagogue by the crusaders. The Jews of Blois were married for the blood libel of vicious lie. The Jews of York died in Clifford's Tower rather than convert. The Jews of Provence were blamed for the Black Death and massacred. I remember the Jews whose names are now forgotten, martyrs who suffered and died rather than abandon the covenant. They were hunted like animals and they died in public. No voice rose to speak for them. None came to their aid. Ella Ezkara, these I remember.
Ela Ezkara, these I remember. I remember the Jews of Sepharad, the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The monarchs of Spain and the king of Portugal offered them a choice: convert, go to exile, or die. Many fled, some were converted by force. Many remained secretly faithful to Torah. Too many of them suffered at the hands of the Inquisition, burnt to death for the auto da fe. Thus were the great congregations of Sepharad destroyed, in Seville, in Cordoba, in Cadiz, in Barcelona, in Granada, in Malaga, and in Toledo. Jewish prayers and Jewish voices were heard no more. The civilization that produced great poetry and science, philosophy and medicine, scattered to the four corners of the earth, driven underground and burned to death in the city centers. Their neighbors denounced them and crowds cheered for their blood. No voice rose to speak for them. None came to their aid. Ella Ezkara, these I remember.
La rosa enflorece en el mes de mayo. Mi alma se escurece sufriendo de amor. La rosa enflorece en el mes de mayo. Mi alma se escurece sufriendo de amor. Mi alma se escurece sufriendo de amor. Los bilbilicos cantan, suspirando el amor, y la pasión me mata, mujigo a mi dolor, y la pasión me mata, mujigo a mi dolor. Más presto ven paloma
Ela Eskara, these I remember. I remember the Jews of Eastern Europe and Russia, the dwellers in the shtetl, those who died in pogroms, in the Chemeliansky massacre at the hands of Cossacks. I remember the slaughter of children. I remember the destruction of families and homes. I remember their precarious lives, their pitiful deaths. And I say, Ela Eskara, these I remember. History took a more murderous turn. The cruel choice of the past, convert or die, became no choice at all. The time of martyrs gave way to an even more terrible time when there were no choices, only death, only murder, only annihilation. Anti-Semitism, racism, and other bigotries were the scourge of humanity, no choices. Not only did we suffer, but other races and nations have felt their brutal virulence. And still the world stood too silent, did too little. Africans were bought and sold like farm animals while the world watched. Native Americans were hounded, hunted, and murdered while the world watched. Armenians were the target of genocide while the world watched. Rohingyas, Ugyars, the list goes on, and there is no end in sight. Jews were the prime target of the Nazis, slated for obliteration. What can we say in the face of the Shoah? There are no words, no meanings, nothing to make sense of it. The cold machinery piled us in nameless graves, burnt us to cinders, ground us to dust. What can we say about the loss of Jewish families, Jewish minds, Jewish learning? What can one say in the presence of burning children? And all of this, while the world watched. Even today, there are those who deny that it happened. But Ela Eskara, these I remember.
On a wagon bound for market, there's a calf with a mournful eye. High above him there's a swallow, winging swiftly through the sky. How the winds are laughing, they laugh with all their might. Laugh and laugh the whole day through, and half the summer's night. Donna, 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 donna. Stop complaining, said the farmer who told you a calf to be. Why don't you have wings to fly with, like the swallow so proud and free? How the winds are laughing, they laugh with all their might. Laugh and laugh the whole day through, and half the summer's night. Donna, 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 donna. Calves are easily bound and slaughtered, never knowing the reason why. But whoever treasures freedom, like the swallow has learned to fly. How the winds are laughing, they laugh with
Ayla Escara, these I remember. I cannot forget the rare kind face, the furtive hand extended in help. I cannot forget those who risked their lives to save one single Jew. I cannot forget the righteous Gentiles who spoke up for us and went to the camps with us. Ayla Escara, these too I will remember. Roz?
Oh, sorry. Ayla Ezkara. These I remember. These I cannot forget. Never again while a silent world watches. I may not stand by while my neighbor bleeds. I may not stand by while my sister is hunted and hurt. I may not stand by while my brother is starving. I may not stand by while anyone is made homeless. I may not stand by while there is injustice. Never again. Ayla Ezkara Benafshi Ale Eshpecha. These I remember, and I pour out my soul within me.
An expert from the last speech by John Lewis. Ordinary people with extraordinary vision can redeem the soul of America by getting in what I call good trouble, necessary trouble. Voting and participating in the democratic process are key. The vote is the most powerful nonviolent change agent you have in a democratic society. You must use it because it is not guaranteed. You can lose it. You must also study and learn the lessons of history because humanity has been involved in this soul-wrenching existential struggle for a very long time. People on every continent have stood in your shoes, though decades and centuries before you. The truth does not change, and that is why the answers worked out long ago can help you find solutions to the challenges of our time. Continue to build union between movements stretching across the globe, because we must put away our willingness to profit from the exploitation of others. Though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all that I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love, and of nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now, it is your turn to let freedom ring. When historians pick up their pens to write the history of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide.
As part of his acceptance speech upon receiving the Nobel Peace Prize in 1986, Elie Wiesel stated the following: "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant. Whenever men or women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe." He also stated, "To remain silent and indifferent is the greatest sin of all."
Over the last few months, we have witnessed pain and suffering. We have felt helpless, hopeless, and lost. Our hearts have been torn by grief as we watch the statistics of those who continue to die from COVID-19 rise. We have suffered loss and pain. Even for those of us who do not lose loved ones, we have lost our sense of complacency, of security, and of hope. We have felt anger as we continue to learn about young Black men who die too young solely because of their skin color. Our world feels like it has been torn asunder and we are hurting. The Martyrology service recalls all those who were tortured, oppressed, and killed just because they were Jews. Today, we remember George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. We remember Ahmaud Arbery and Eric Garner, as well as all those who were innocent in their deaths and were killed for no reason other than their being Black. May we know of no more martyrs. May we know of no more who die as a result of intolerance and oppression. Ela Eskara, for these I remember and cry out. My God and God of all generations, in my great need, I pour out my heart to you. The long days and weeks of suffering are hard to endure. In my struggle, I reach out for the help that only you can give. Let me feel that you are near and that your care enfolds me. Rouse in me the strength to overcome my weakness and brighten my spirit with the assurance of your love. Make me grateful for the care and concern that are expended on my behalf. Help me to sustain the hopes of my dear ones as they strive to strengthen and encourage me. May the healing power you have placed within me give me strength to recover, so that I may proclaim with all my being, I shall not die, but live and declare the works of God.
The Book of Life, Uncertainty. I wanted a perfect ending, so I sat down to write the book with the ending in place before there even was an ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme, and some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Like my life, this book has ambiguity. Like my life, this book is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next.
I cannot choose the day of my death, but I decide the way of my life. I do not know if I will get up tomorrow, but I can stand to be counted today. My hands may weaken in time, but for now, I can still write a loving message. I may never find the cure for cancer, but I must search for a healing word or a friend. My voice may someday falter, but today I may speak kindly to another human being. I may lose my ability to walk, but now I must dance to the rhythm of life. Blindness may someday fill my eyes, but I can look for God in all I see today. I may become hard of hearing, but let me not harden my heart. I do not know when I will draw breath last, but let this exhalation be a song of praise. Rabbi Abiva Baz.
אז נתחזק ונתרפא.
И тогда мы станем крепче и сильнее.
We must be strong and we must be healed.
Et nous serons fortifiés et guéris.
Nos fortalecemos y nos curaremos.
ሁላችንም ካመን እንድናለን።
تتقوى وتتعافى.
ሰላማት በሺን
ብርታቱንና ጤንነቱን ይስጠን።
त्यसपछि बलियो हुन्छौँ र निको हुन्छौँ.
Le chomu ese auyor no.
Dear God, be with my family and friends. Bring peace to their troubled spirits. Enable them to know that their love gives me strength. Help me to express my gratitude and appreciation to them for all they have done and are continuing to do. Let them feel free to bring me their own joys and sorrows, that I may continue to participate in their lives, even as they share mine. May this also be a time of inner searching, that I may appreciate more fully the good and beautiful in life and labor to bring these to the lives of others. Grant me health and healing, that I may carry out your will in peace. Then will my life reflect your presence and my love, your love. And let us say, Amen. Hear my voice, Adonai, when I call. Be gracious to me and answer me. In your hand is the soul of every living thing. I turn to you, O God, in my distress. Give me patience and faith. Let not despair overwhelm me. Renew my trust in your mercy and bless the efforts of all who are helping me. Be with my dear ones in these difficult days. Give them strength and courage to face the anxieties which they share with me. Grant me your healing, so that in vigor of body and mind, I may return to my loved ones for a life which will be marked by good deeds. You have always been my help. Do not cast me off, nor forsake me, O God of my salvation. Let us take a few minutes now for each person to have their own prayer, their own reflection on what they would like to have healed. And if there's anybody that would like to share their hopes for healing and what they hope will be healed this coming year, please feel free to unmute yourself and share your hope. May the one who brings peace on high bring peace, healing, and blessing to us as individuals, to us as a community, and to us as a country. May all that has been fractured be made whole again. May God's light shine upon all of us and bring us peace, peace of spirit, peace of heart, and peace amongst us. Amen.
Oh,
May the one who heals us help us find the healing that we need in ourselves and in our country and in our world. Amen. We will come together again at 3 o'clock for the meditative service and avodah service. Until then, enjoy chatting, enjoy the music, enjoy the fresh air, and may it continue to be a productive fast.